All right, guys and girls, my name's Stephen Broom. I work with the Forestry Commission, and my job is to make sure that loggers in the upstate do what they're supposed to and take care of streams and make sure there's no mud on the road and follow all our environmental laws. But this station is called the Wood Cookie Station. And before we get started, I want to ask you guys, what do you think the purpose of the bark on the tree is? Yep, you're exactly right. It's kind of like the skin. On our skin right here protects us from a lot of things. It's kind of like the same idea. It protects versus bad fires, diseases, pests, all that kind of good stuff. Vines, stuff like that. Then there's a small layer underneath the bark called the cambium, and that's what makes the new wood every single year and kind of makes more bark. And do you see all the dark rings on here? So for each dark ring, that's a year that this grew. So do you see how some of them are a lot wider than others? And then out here towards the end, they get a lot closer. Why do you think that the rings would be a lot closer, that the tree's not growing as much? Go ahead, buddy.
Maybe because the tree is expanding, so it has to cover more and more, so it can't grow as much. Like a tiny space might grow up to here, but a bigger space might grow up to here.
Yeah.
Because they have to cover all that around it.
Yep, okay. That's part of it. What do you think?
Because it's starting to die?
Yeah, that could be, but then it starts to spread back out. What do you think, buddy?
Because it's about to start a new lifespan?
That's not quite it. What do you think?
Maybe because it's counting how long or how many years or something.
What about lack of rain? Do you think that has anything to do with it? It's not getting enough rain. It's not getting enough sunlight. All those things, whether if it had a bad fire, ran through the woods, if it stressed the tree out, it's going to slow down the growth. If there's too many trees out in the woods and it's getting out competed, it's going to slow down growing. And that's part of it. And a lot of times when trees are young, they grow a lot quicker, and then as they age, they slow down. And that can be a sign when foresters will come in there and they'll determine whether the growth is slowed down, that maybe it's time to thin and take some of those trees out in the woods. And we can determine, like I said, for every ring is a year of growth. For us to look at it like this, you have to cut it down, and that kills the tree. Another method that we do is we use what we call an increment borer, which is this right here. And we drill into the tree, and then you pull out a little core. We pull out this right here. Do you see the rings on that? For every ring is a year. It's like the same thing as that cookie right there. But this way it doesn't harm the tree, and we can determine how old it is, whether certain periods if it wasn't growing the way it should. But I'm going to actually get a volunteer and say, what about Miss Stella? You think you can come up here?
How do you know my name?
That's a secret. Let's see. Let's see. Can you turn it? Turn it that way, yep. Can you go about halfway into the tree?
I don't know how you know that.
Oh, you're doing great. You're doing great. And you hold this up to the side once you get about halfway in, and that way you can pull it out and determine how old it is.
How do you know when it's...
You got a little bit more. Do you want me to do it? You think you can get it? So you're doing great. What trees do you think grow faster? Do you think trees like this, pine trees, or oak trees grow faster? Pine trees grow a lot faster than oak trees.
I have an oak tree in my backyard.
Oh, do you? It's huge? I tell you, oak trees and hardwoods are a lot harder to do than pines. What do you think? You think you're about halfway in?
I don't know.
I think so. We'll try it. Okay. How about stick this in right there? Stick it all the way in. Okay. How about turn it the other way? About twice. That's good right there. All right. Let's see if we can pull this out and see if it does what it's supposed to. You see those rings? So it's growing pretty fast. How old do you think that tree right there is?
About 100 years old.
You're close. So before you guys got here this morning, I drilled it and did the same thing Miss Stella did. And I counted the rings and it's 92 years old. Can you believe that? So what about that one right there? How old do you think that one is? You're giving you're giving it too much credit. It's about 18 years old. So why do you think that one grew a lot faster than that one?
Because it's more thinner. Because it's younger. Because it's a pine tree.
Well, they're both pine trees. They're different species.
Because it's younger.
Yep. So they're different species. That's a longleaf pine and that's a loblolly. Loblolly typically grow a lot quicker, but it's also out here on the edge. It's getting a lot of sunlight, but like I say, longleaf generally grows slower. But you can see it's not having to fight for competition or nutrients or water or anything like that. That's part of the reason that it grows quicker. So can you count those rings for me?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? You can hold it up to the sunlight and see them a little bit better. You see those rings? Each dark ring? So start right here and count that way. You see the dark rings right here? What do you think it's maybe about 15 or 16? Yeah. That's about right. So I'll pass some of these cookies around and let you guys see if you can't. Yes, ma'am. Pass some of those. Take the bag and grab one and pass it around, okay?
Don't eat them.
And see if you guys. Yep, don't eat them.
I want that one.
You want this one right here? So, hold on. So can y'all count some of those rings? So they're passing. We're going to pass around those right there. And this is an example of that core that we pulled out of that tree. But do you see how the rings are spaced close together and then far apart? So what do you think would make it be spaced far apart? That means it grew a lot, right?
Yeah.
So it must be having a good year. It's getting a lot of sunlight and it's getting a lot of rain the way it's supposed to.
I said 17 for that one.
17? Yep, you're close. It's 18. 32? 32. So you see how the very beginning, how it's growing a lot quicker?
I know how old it's 31.
31?
This one is 34.
There you go, guys.
I can't count mine because all the rings are white.
White? That means they're old then, right?
So maybe like
You can still see them on there, buddy.
you know my dad.
It's really old? I don't think it's that old. It's probably about 5 or 6, wouldn't you think?
No, wait, sorry, this is 24. Sorry.
24? So you counted all the rings right there?
Yep, 24.
Okay.
This one is 34 years old.
So what all do trees need to grow to get big?
Water, sunlight.
Yep, you're exactly right. And do you think that we're growing more trees than we're cutting every day?
No. I thought you got one.
So you're thinking that we grow more than we cut, right?
Yes.
Yep, you're exactly right. We're planting more than we're cutting down, which is a good thing. So, y'all have any questions?
Do you know my dad?
I don't know your dad. I spoke with your teacher. What's your question?
If there's H2O in the trees, then how would the trees breathe out?
How do they breathe out? The needles in the leaves up top. That's how they produce oxygen. So, any other questions? What's your question, hon?
How do you get the blue thing in the tree?
It's got a bit on the very end. It's almost like a drill bit. And you just turn it in there and it bites into the wood and that's how it goes in there. What's your question, buddy?
How would you get syrup from the trees?
Oh, you get syrup from maple trees, not from pine trees. You're thinking about sap. The sticky stuff, that's sap.
What do you put on this to make it
And sand it down and put a sealant on there. And that's the difference between these right here. See how they're so rough? That's the difference. So, but thank y'all so much for your time. I hope you have a wonderful day. And like I say, if you have any questions, you can come back and ask me. Just please make sure you put those cookies back for me. Thank you so much.